All right, so here we are. It is post-lockout, and the market has been a frenzy in Major League Baseball. A couple of new trades and signings have happened the past 48 hours that have really taken the fan bases by storm. And I think, Mr. Cere, it just makes sense to start off with something that's going to impact the Yankees. And the beginning of the domino effect here was when the Twins traded catcher Mitch Garver to the Texas Rangers in exchange for Isaiah Kiner-Falefa and minor league pitcher Ronnie Henriquez. Initially, when you saw this, were you overjoyed, as I was, hey, IKF isn't coming to the Yankees, maybe we're getting Correa?
Listen, I like IKF. I think actually the trade that sent him to New York is not a bad trade for New York. I think IKF is the bigger piece in that, even than Josh Donaldson, for the Yankees, for what their needs are. The amount of runs they lost to defensive errors or whatnot in that middle infield when Torres played, 100 so games at shortstop where he just shouldn't have been. They're not going to have that problem with IKF. No matter where, he could go to third, he could go to second, he could go to short, and he'll win you a gold glove. And that's what they need. He also had more hits than anybody on the Yankees all year last year. Sure, he had more at-bats, but still, he's a helpful utility guy. If they could still get another piece, I doubt they will. I doubt they're going to sign a Story, but I think he would be the one to go for Story, and then have Falefa roll, fill right into that Tyler Wade role.
Yeah. And I mean, for the Twins, really, you look at it, and then you see the Yankees trade, of course, that we'll talk about in a second, but they gave up Mitch Garver to essentially get just better players overall. They don't keep IKF, but they're getting this minor league pitcher who's got high expectations when he eventually comes up to the big leagues. And after the Yankees traded Gary Sanchez and Gio Urshela to the Twins in exchange for Donaldson, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, and Ben Rortvedt, they lost Garver and a couple other key pieces, but I think it's kind of hard to pinpoint where they're trying to go this season, if they're trying to be competitive or not. But you're losing your starting catcher for Gary Sanchez, who's now going to be pretty decent, maybe, can we say?
I think Sanchez is going to make us all upset as Yankee fans. He's going to have a good year. But yeah, like you said, I have no clue what the Twins are doing right now. I mean, they give up Donaldson, they give up Garver, two of their best pieces, but then they trade for Sonny Gray. So are you trying to win? Or are you trying to lose? I can't tell. I don't think even the Twins know what they want to do at this point.
Yeah, and I mean, the Twins trade with the Reds for Sonny Gray, as you said, they gave up pitching prospects, Chase Petty, and the Twins also received minor leaguer Francis Piguero. So it's Sonny Gray is just a few years removed from excellence and greatness on the mound. He used to be that, one of the three-headed dragons with the Reds, where it was him, Castillo, and Bauer. Bauer's obviously gone. Gray now removed. Castillo could be next on the market. Is that maybe a Yankees target, you think?
I think, right now, I mean, as of 16 minutes ago, there's a tweet that says the Yankees and A's have been talking. This is from an MLB insider, Robert Murray, with Fansided.com. Yankees and A's have been talking, according to sources familiar with the situation. That could be Sean Manaea. That could be Frankie Montas. I personally, once the Reds traded away Winker, I said, you know what? Go put in an offer for Castillo, because clearly they're dumping everything.
Yeah.
So I would love to get Luis Castillo. I've seen people argue against him, saying he has a high whip, even in a bad division. What's he going to look like in the AL East when he has to play, pitch against the Blue Jays and the Red Sox and the Rays? But I don't care. I think he's going to be unbelievable. He's better than our 3, 4, 5 pitchers. Maybe better than our 2. But Manaea is not bad either. I'll take any of those.
I was just going to ask, so would you take Castillo, Manaea, or Montas from the Athletics? Who would you prefer if we can only get one?
One of those 3, I prefer Luis Castillo. I think he's younger, and I think he's got better stuff.
I think there's a chance maybe for the Yankees, if they want to take this route and trade with the Reds, who are, like you said, dumping everything. We'll get to Winker and Suarez in a minute. But if they're dumping everyone and everything, do we maybe try to trade for Castillo and a Joey Votto? And that's our new left-handed first baseman.
I had this conversation with a friend of mine. I think that's off the table now that Rizzo just signed. But I was saying, try to get Votto. But he's a guy who's been super loyal to Cincinnati. He has expressed no desire to leave. He has a no trade clause. He'd have to waive that to go to New York. And I don't see him being the type that would want to be in New York. Just like Jay Bruce. Jay Bruce never wanted to play for a big market. Guess where he ended up? A big market. Twice.
Starting first baseman for the Yankees on opening day last year.
Right. And that's, I think that kind of brings me to my next point, which I definitely want to talk about at some point, is that if you're on Yankees Twitter, all you see is nonstop. This is terrible. The team's gotten worse. The team has not gotten worse. The team last year, we had our starting first baseman was Jay Bruce, and our number 3 hitter was Aaron Hicks. If you think this starting lineup is worse than that, then you're just delirious, and that's what they are.
Right. And I think with the Yankees, they did inevitably get better with the Twins trade. As much as maybe like the loyal Yankee fans, like I know you and I, there's a chance that we're gonna really miss Gio Urshela. Like just like the wholeheartedness of him. Yeah, very likable player. He came in clutch a lot of moments for us. So it's gonna be hard to let someone like that go. But the Yankees have right now the lineup that's projected as a Fangraphs, which I don't love this, but Fangraphs has the Yankees leading off Anthony Rizzo. And then it'd be Judge, Stanton, Donaldson, Gallo, Torres, Hicks, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, and Ben Wertvet. Now, I think Higashioka would get the nod over Ben Wertvet unless you really want a left-handed catcher. Because Ben, who just came over from the Twins, is going to be more of a defensive guy than offensive. It's pretty much the opposite of Gary Sanchez is what we traded for in that piece.
Right. I mean, I'm also looking at this lineup. And I don't know, does Gleyber Torres get the start on opening day over DJ LeMahieu?
That's what people are saying.
Doesn't seem like a smart idea.
I don't think it makes sense either.
I mean, I like Torres. I do think he still has long-term value. I still think he can be a really good player. But right now, I think I'd rather have DJ starting opening day. I don't know how we're going to handle that situation. DJ's probably going to play every other day, if not every day minus one, because, every day somebody's going to rest.
Yeah.
But I look at this lineup. When you look at even 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right now, Stanton, Donaldson, Gallo, the amount of power in there.
We finally have lefties too, to an extent. I think what I would do with this lineup is, I know it was a debate. I think yesterday Boone said it actually. He said he would see Judge in center field over Gallo. However, I would love to see an outfield of, to whatever degree, Gallo, Judge, and Stanton. You free up the DH spot, then you can use Gleyber Torres as the DH, Luke Voigt as a DH, and DJ gets the start at second base. I think that's where you have to put him. You can't have him as a bench guy. You cannot have a utility man like DJ LeMahieu. Right, not for the AAV he's getting from the Yankees. He needs to start, and he's not going to start over Josh Donaldson at third, and you don't really want his love at third base. He's not great at first base, and now you have Luke Voigt and Anthony Rizzo before any other trades or signings.
Does Torres shift to shortstop every once in a while?
He may.
Seems like something they have a plan, because are they going to have Jose Peraza on the actual MLB bench? That seems like a terrible waste of a roster spot.
But the bench too, like when we recorded the first podcast with Mr. Story back in December, the bench looked terrible. It was like Estevan Florial, it was Jose Peraza, it was bad. Right now, it's Higashioka, Voigt, LeMahieu, and Tim LeCastro, who is purely going to be there for speed.
I love LeCastro.
I do too. Something that we haven't explored yet is the possibility that IKF catches, and then there is a shortstop spot.
Right.
But do we want that when his glove is going to be good in the middle infield?
I'm not so sure they're going to do that.
Right. But maybe on an off day for someone, he goes to catcher for a day, Gleyber slides to short, and DJ hits at second.
I don't know much about this Ben Rortvedt guy, but from what I've heard, is he's not a good bat.
He's not.
And you know what? Deep down, if we're being honest here, Higashioka's not a good bat either.
No.
He hits some nice shots every once in a while, in clutch moments too, but he's not. Neither of those guys are somebody you want coming up in an important situation. I'd say almost every game, the catcher's probably going to be pitch hit for him, right? You have to.
2021, Ben Rortvedt for the Twins, 89 at-bats, 15 hits, 3 home runs, 7 RBIs. That's a 169 average, 229 on base, and 510 OPS.
Yeah.
It's not going to be good.
But apparently he's a superstar fielder. So you won't have to deal with pitchers hating pitching to Gary Sanchez anymore if that's something that was actually taking place.
Correct. So it is interesting, if we look at it, the Yankees, I think they are in a better spot. I agree with you. I think they are in a better spot after the Twins trade. Should they do more? Absolutely. It's not going to consist of Freddie Freeman, I don't think, anymore. I think we're out on Trevor Story because he's asking for a lot of money. I don't see why we would sign Correa right now.
I did see somebody floating the idea that the Yankees trade Voit for one of those pitchers and sign Freeman still to platoon with Rizzo because Rizzo hits better against lefties and Freeman hits better against righties. So even though they're both lefties, you can still do a platoon with those guys.
I did see someone say platooning Rizzo and Freeman on the Yankees is such a Yankees thing.
Oh, yeah.
And let me tell you, I would love if we're platooning Freddie Freeman and Anthony Rizzo. Are you kidding me?
That's fine.
Are you kidding me?
I'll take it.
That's great. Okay, so I think we can move on from the Yankees for a little bit, and we'll go in order of oldest news to more current. So we'll start off with really no surprise here. Oakland Athletics traded Chris Bassett to the Mets. Mets gave up pitching prospects, JT Ginn, I don't know how to say his name, and then Adam Oller. Apparently, both these guys are good arms. I don't know if you know anything about them.
Nothing.
I don't know anything either. Mets fans loved them. But hey, we'll take Chris Bassett.
Yeah, the Mets are really, they're going for it this year. We'll see what happens.
Which, hey, good for them,
They've got a strong rotation if they can stay healthy.
I like it. I like it a lot. The rotation. But the question is, do DeGrom and Scherzer combine for a full season? You hope so.
Oh, yeah. I mean, apparently DeGrom's going to be ready for opening day, which almost comes as a surprise.
It does.
We'll see what happens. He hasn't shown to be too dependable in that case.
I don't know if you want to take the next one here, but the Oakland Athletics traded away someone that the Yankees were definitely eyeing. So we'll get back to the Yankees a little bit, but
Yeah, Matt Olson to the Braves. But here's the thing: the Braves did give up a ton.
they did.
Christian Pache, Shea Langeliers, Joey Estes, Ryan Cusick. The center fielder, the pitcher, and the catcher, those were three of their top 6 prospects right there. If the Yankees were going to make that trade, they would have sent Jason Dominguez, they would have sent Volt, and they would have sent one of their pitchers.
Right.
I mean, it's unbelievable that they got that much. But here's the real kicker for me, is not only did the Braves grab Olsen, but the deal they signed him to is an absolute steal.
Ridiculous.
For 168, $21 million AAV is disgusting for a player of that value.
It's an absolute steal what the Braves are doing right now with their team. I have some numbers for you here that I want to bring up if I can find them. Here we go. Here's a list of Braves extensions over the past couple of years. This is absolutely ridiculous. Good for the Braves. I love this team so much. Got to watch them play in person over the summer down in Atlanta. It was so great. It stinks that Freeman's gone, but the extensions that they've given out, Ozzie Albies, I would say potentially a top 5 second baseman in the game right now. They sent him 7 years, $35 million. Ronald Acuna Jr., one of the best center fielders in the game, one of the best outfielders in the game, definitely in the NL, 8 years, $100 million. Matt Olson, 8 years, $168 million. Are you serious? The Braves are getting all of these guys dirt cheap.
I don't know what they're doing. I don't understand how somebody like Acuna, who, he's a top 5 player in the league. It's 8 for 100. That's almost Hicks' contract.
Yeah.
Right? And we have Hicks for 7 for 70. It's like, come on, right? I know the Yankees have to pay that Yankee tax.
Yep.
Right? They're always going to have to pay more. That's just the deal. But that I would have paid $150 million 8 years for Acuna. I would have paid 10 years, $300. I don't care. Give him the Lindor deal.
Yep. Even Franco's extension, which we talked about last time, ridiculous.
Franco is I get it. There's value in these guys who are signing extensions before they actually hit the open market and a couple years before. So they're just all the way they're looking at it is, I'm going to sign a 10-year deal where I'm guaranteed $200 million, or in Acuna's place, $100 million, with all this risk where I'm not going to have actual free agency for a year. So there is value. But the Olsen one makes no sense.
I don't understand. Like he grew up in the area. He grew up in Georgia. So he's now signed through the 2029 season with a $20 million club option for 2030. But he's going to make $15 million this year, $21 million in 2023 from his previous contract, and then it's just absolutely insane. Good for the Braves.
Yeah.
And they're going to run it back. And I would love to see them make another good push. They did. I don't have it on my notes here because actually it's middle of the day here. Wednesday morning, March 16th, so many things happened. One that I did not get to is Eddie Rosario back with the Braves. They signed him to a 2-year, $18 million deal with a third option for $9 million. So he's back. Braves are looking really good.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, the Braves, they have to deal with the Dodgers. They'll have to deal with whatever this Mets team looks like by the time the season starts. But
for a lot of games, too.
The NL Central is not going to be competition for anybody.
No.
I mean, the Reds are absolutely hemorrhaging their roster. The Pirates are a terrible team.
But the Pirates are making some weird moves. It's like they signed Daniel Vogel back. They're signing some kind of decent pitchers.
Well, what's that do? Take you from 65 wins to 70?
Right. It doesn't do much for them, but it's just like it's weird that some of the players that should be signing elsewhere because there is a market for them, they're choosing to go to like the Pirates. Doesn't make sense, but
there is the argument the Brewers are an okay team, but I've been hearing rumors that the Brewers are looking to possibly start hemorrhaging their roster.
yeah, Josh Hader to the Mets. That was something that flew around.
And then the Cardinals are a good team. They're going to win that division. But are they better than the Braves or the Dodgers? I don't think they're even close. Unless Tyler O'Neill takes a huge step, which he's great, he is, but he's got to turn into superstar. He's got to turn into top 5 player in order for that team to look like a Dodgers or a Braves.
Yeah.
But the Braves have a top 5 player. The Dodgers have a top 5 player. The Cardinals don't. The Padres, what are the Padres?
I do like the Cardinals. The corner infield though was stacked. Arenado and Goldschmidt. I mean,
They do.
Yeah.
Arenado is a top 5 player.
Yep.
But
And they won all those Gold Gloves defensively last year. What was it? 5 combined team.
Great.
Yeah.
Shortstop, they're running it back with DeJong.
Yeah.
And do they have somebody else to put there?
They had someone that filled in for DeYoung last year.
Right?
Yeah.
Young guy. Pitching wise is where they really scare. Jack Flaherty already has an injury.
Steven Matz with the Cardinals now.
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean you can't leave out Steven
I
Matz.
forgot to tell
Criminal
you.
negligence.
Right. Criminal negligence on Steven Matz. Yeah, no, their pitching's going to be a problem. Their bullpen, they have their best bullpen pieces like Giovanni Gallegos, who I was upset when the Yankees let him go.
Yeah.
That's not what you want as your best bullpen piece.
Right. Moving on, teams that are hemorrhaging, like you said, Cincinnati Reds are back to that. It's just really unreal that the Reds had all-star talent. They lost Castellanos to free agency, who is yet to sign, but it's looking like he might go to Philly. There were rumors before the lockout, maybe Miami. There's a huge market for Nick Castellanos. But the Reds traded outfielder Jesse Winker, who was an all-star, and third baseman Eugenio Suarez to the Seattle Mariners for pitcher Justin Dunn, infielder Jake Fraley, and minor league pitcher Brandon Williamson. They also, Cincinnati is also receiving a player to be named later, which I read on Twitter. They think that really enhances the deal.
It better.
It better when you're losing Jesse Winker and Eugenio Suarez to the Mariners. You have to remember, Seattle is a team that traded for Adam Frazier from the Padres. So they are completely renovating, and they just missed out on a really good postseason run last year.
Seattle's an interesting team. Does this make them championship contenders? I don't think so. With the 12-team playoff, I think they're definitely in the running for one of those wild.
100%.
I mean, there's their replacement for Kyle Seager, Eugenio Suarez.
Yep.
Winker's unbelievable. Who's their pitching right now? They lost Kikuchi.
So they're pitching at the moment. Robbie Ray, of course, coming off of the Cy Young season, but you have to take into effect, well, maybe he might not do so hot, but hopefully he does for the sake of the Mariners. Marco Gonzalez used to be their ace before Robbie Ray came over. Chris Flexen, who I think did decent last year. Logan Gilbert, the rookie from last season. And Matt Brash is projected. Yeah.
Other than Robbie Ray.
Other than Robbie Ray, it's rough.
Let's be honest. Is he going to repeat that? I doubt it.
I don't know. Their bullpen
How
is...
often do pitchers repeat that level of...
Exactly. Their bullpen is decent. Diego Castillo, Ken Giles, Drew Steckenrider, Paul Sewald, names that I actually know. Andres Munoz, I think, came from the Padres.
Suarez,
Yeah. So pitching is definitely going to hurt them a bit, but they made it work last year. They did lose. I think you know where I'm going with this. They did lose Yusei Kikuchi, who before recording the podcast, I've said to Mr. Cere on multiple occasions, hey, Yusei Kikuchi would be a great guy to sign real cheap. Guess who picked up that deal? The monsters of the AL East, the Toronto Blue Jays. They signed Kikuchi to a 3-year, $36 million contract, which is great. I had to make that transition there. I know we might be going a little off topic from the trade. But Kikuchi now filling in as the Blue Jays number 5 guy.
I think this is a great place to go. The Toronto Blue Jays have the potential. I don't know if I'm looking at this all wrong, but they have the potential to win 115 games. I said it, but write that down.
Okay.
115 games. There's so many things. Their roster's unbelievably stacked.
It's so
their
good.
Their roster's unbelievably young. And, wait a second, any team that goes to Toronto to play, their unvaccinated players cannot get into the country right now.
Yeah.
So what are they going to win, 82 games at home? I mean, 81 games at home? This team is set up with Vlad at first. You now have Matt Chapman, who was just traded there, third base. Bo Bichette, Kevin Biggio, who was playing third last year when he's a second baseman. Well, now he's back home in his spot. You've got, we'll skip catcher because Alejandro Kirk.
Well, Danny Jansen. Danny Jansen's decent. Alejandro Kirk, potential. Upside, we don't.
Yeah, they're going to platoon that.
That's their weakest spot. It doesn't even matter.
I mean, this is unbelievable. Springer,
Yeah.
Gurriel, Grichuk, and Teoscar Hernandez.
They have 2 guys over 30 years old. One is George Springer. He was hurt a bit last year, but when he wasn't hurt, this guy was on fire. He's insane. We know what he's done with the Astros. Springer's insane, 32 and a half years old. And then Randall Grichuk is 30. Exactly, like on the nose.
Gausman, Berrios, Ryu, Manoah, Kikuchi. I mean,
Unreal.
There's not that many rotations that are better than that, and there's not that many orders that are better than that. The only thing is they have a terrible bullpen.
They do. But that's been...
But are you going to get there? And
Exactly.
by the time you get to the bullpen, are you down by 7 runs?
Nope.
Right? So, I'm a Yankees fan. I'm terrified of what the Blue Jays are going to do.
100%.
They'll lose 19 games to them this year.
100%. And I don't even, like you said, I don't even think you need the bullpen if you're the Blue Jays. Like, yeah, maybe you get 1 or 2 guys. At the trade deadline, you bring in some arms. But Yusei Kikuchi as their number 5, yeah, he had, like, some star-studded, like, weeks. Like, some glimpses of really good pitching, you say. Then he kind of fell off a cliff for a little bit, but that's fine. He's number 5. No pressure on him. Alek Manoah, 24 years old. This guy is projected to do really great things at the big league level. Hyunjin Ryu is shaky, yes, but the 1-2, Berrios and Gausman, are very interchangeable in who is your ace, who isn't. They can both pull off that role effectively. The bench, there isn't much depth in the bench. That's going to be, like, helpful, but the lineup is insane. You listed off the names. Fangraphs, this is their projected lineup. It's Springer in center, Bichette at short, Guerrero at first, Hernandez DHing, Lourdes Gurriel Jr. at left, Matt Chapman at the hot corner, best defensive third baseman in the game maybe. He's now a Blue Jay. Randall Grichuk in right, Kevin Biggio at second, Danny Jansen at catcher. It's insane. It really is.
And maybe I'm blinded because all of these guys happen to play their best games against the Yankees.
Right.
Right, like Grichuk's a Yankee
Of
killer.
course.
Bichette's a Yankee killer. All of them are. And Chapman, yeah, he's a great defensive pickup. He's not a great hitter.
He's not. He definitely has lost
At
it.
least there's that. But the things that keep scaring me is, Blue Jays are talking to the Guardians about trading for Jose Ramirez. The Blue Jays are offering deals to Freddie Freeman.
Right.
It's like, okay, what more do you need?
Yeah.
You know?
And Matt Chapman, how he got there was a trade with the Oakland Athletics this morning. I was in my car on the way to school when I see Chapman's been traded, and there's an agreement. He was traded to the Blue Jays in exchange for right-hand pitcher Gunnar Hoglund, shortstop Kevin Smith, left-handed starter Zach Logue, and left-handed reliever Kirby Snead. All of these guys are major league ready. None have, like, a lot of time at the major league level, but they're all ready. And, I mean, Blue Jays, maybe an overkill, but they did what they needed to get Chapman. You just have to hope the bat's somewhat decent. Yeah, like you said, they're talking about Jose Ramirez now, and that would be with the intent to start him at second base. So where does Kevin Biggio go? Where does he fit in now?
He's, I guess, a utility now.
I guess he is. He's probably the DJ LeMahieu now of the Blue Jays. He is. That's a huge bat. that is now just going to be, hey, we'll maybe use him off the bench. Freddie Freeman is another guy. You have 4 teams in on Freeman in the AL East alone. Yankees, Rays, Red Sox, Blue Jays have all shown interest. If the Blue Jays get Freeman, you're DHing Vlad Guerrero Jr. because you don't want to risk him getting injured at third. You don't need him focusing on the glove.
He's definitely not playing. He's not good at third.
Right. So
He's
you're
barely good at first.
Yeah, your corner infield is Chapman, Freeman, and DHing is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. It's unbelievable the potential this team has, even without any extra additions, really, before the start of the season.
Good thing there's the Orioles in that division.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it'd be really exhausting.
Knowing the Yankees will still lose like 9 of 19.
Of course.
Because that's just us.
That's what we have to do.
Yep. So I think we can get into some of the signings here, and you can kind of pick where you want to start. There is not as much to focus on with the signings. The trades have been insane, but yeah, wherever you want to go.
Right. I mean, let's just talk about Adam Ottavino for a minute.
Yeah.
That's some disrespectful stuff.
Yeah. Well, he commented on Instagram that he never said anything negative about the Yankees. He was just happy about his position with the Mets.
Yeah, I don't care what
Take
he
it away.
commented. He said what he said.
Yeah.
The man signed with the Mets for $4 million by
1 year.
which is indicative of how terrible he is. Has the nerve to say it feels good for there to be a good team in New York.
Yeah, he's like, I'm glad to be sleeping in my own bed again because he's a New York native. I'm glad there's a good team in New York.
Right.
I'm sorry. What?
Obvious hit at the New York Yankees, who he choked their opportunities in the playoffs.
Yep.
And then he went to Boston and choked their opportunities in the playoffs. You have some nerve when you have had so much hype as a pitcher and you come back into the AL. You come from the NL, a pitcher's league, right, on the Rockies, and you're great. And they're like, oh, this guy's one of the best bullpen arms in the league.
Yeah.
You have the nerve when you come into the AL in a division that has talent, right? All of a sudden, you can't pitch to left-handed batters, right? And unfortunately, that's not how it works in Major League Baseball. You have to be able to pitch to left-handed batters. And in order to pitch to left-handed batters, in order to start talking smack the way you're talking smack, you should probably focus on pitching to left-handed batters.
Yeah.
I just had to bring him up because he frustrated me. It's just, if it was a good player who left and said something, right, who was gypped because we traded him to the Red Sox. Did we trade him or did we cut him?
Yeah, well, no, we traded actually.
To the Red Sox.
Yeah.
It was like, that's
I remember this clear as day. It was right after I took my driver's test. I passed my driver's test. I was sitting at a restaurant with my family. I see a Twitter notification, I think for either Ken Rosenthal or Jeff Passan. It's like, hey, Yankees have just traded Adam Ottavino to the Red Sox for straight up cash. And that's it.
That was it. And, well, I don't know, you didn't like the way it ended, that's fine. But before you start talking smack about being a good team, you should focus on being a good player.
Right.
Just frustrated me.
It is.
Where are we moving to next? Let's look at the NL East here. Since we talked about the Mets, we'll continue.
Yeah.
Because the Nationals and Phillies are both, I mean, Nelson Cruz said in an interview recently that the only reason he signed with the Nationals is because the Nationals told him that they were going to make more moves to attempt to win.
See, I didn't even know about that.
And yet they have not.
I have not kept tabs on Nelson Cruz. Last I saw before he signed with Washington was that he was favorited in the Dodgers and Padres organizations. That's what I saw. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, Nationals are talking to Cruz. Oh, Nationals have signed Nelson. 1 year, $15 million. That made zero sense to me, knowing that this is not going to be a competitive team. But the one thing I'm excited about is to see Nelson Cruz, he's 40, right? He's at least 40?
41 maybe?
I'm excited to see him and Soto hit back-to-back.
Yeah.
That is something I cannot wait to see highlight reels of. And I hope at least once this season they hit back-to-back home runs in the lineup.
I just think it's interesting. He came out and said it.
Yeah.
Know? They told me they were going to make more moves to win, and they've done nothing except for sign Nelson Cruz.
Which I think,
I just don't understand.
if you're a player, that's a really scary gamble.
Right.
Oh, the team told me we're making moves. Guess what? The new CBA was signed after, I think, 99 days in lockout, I'm pretty sure. 99 days in lockout. The CBA comes out. It's supposed to promote being competitive. Guess what the first two teams do that are really in the market? The Athletics and the Reds are dumping everyone. No one is incentivized to win right now. Like, it just doesn't feel like it, at least. You have 6, 7, 8 teams who are always rumored to be linked to someone, and that's going to be your Dodgers, your Padres, your Mets. Yankees, Blue Jays, Red Sox, stuff like that. You have those teams who are always in on everyone for a bit, even if it's just false rumors. And then you have the Athletics and the Reds who are terrible. So for Cruz to sign with the Nationals because they are loosely saying we'll get better, I think that's ridiculous, and that's a waste of his talent.
It's a mistake.
It frustrates me a little
He's
bit.
so old. He doesn't have much left, and he's wasting a year.
And he's so good,
And
too.
he also retired,
Right.
like the day before the lockout ended, and then he's like, okay, I'll come back.
Yeah.
I mean, the Phillies seem like they're making a push.
Which I like. I like the Phillies moving
Schwarber,
forward.
Familia. I mean, the Mets are probably happy to see Familia in Philly
Right.
because he's probably gonna blow some games there. But still, they know that they have to compete with not only the Braves now, but also the Mets, who Steve Cohen's shown he's not going to stop spending.
Yeah.
He's going to keep spending. He doesn't care.
They've named it the Cohen luxury tax.
All you want, right?
Or whatever.
He was the whole reason that all the owners were afraid to raise the CBT.
Right.
But the Phillies are doing enough.
I don't think so either.
Schwarber is one thing.
Schwarber signed today actually on a 4-year deal. The average annual value is not specified yet, but it's rumored to be around $20 million per season. They also signed Familia, as Mr. Cere said, 1 year, $6 million. So if you're the Mets, you get Ottavino and you shed $2 million off your payroll instead of Familia. They're both going to blow games, I think, just as much. So really not a big thing there. I want to look at where the Phillies are at, though, because I love Bryce Harper.
Yeah.
I love me some Bryce Harper. If we take a look at their lineup, it's Segura, Schwarber, Harper, Realmuto, Hoskins, Gregorius, Bohm, Odubel, Herrera, and Adam Hazley. So the bottom kind of struggles a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, Hoskins is good.
Yeah.
They don't have a shortstop right now because Gregorius is gone. Right? They haven't re-signed him. Or is he still on contract?
I think he's still on contract.
He's still on contract
Yeah.
for 1 more year?
Yep.
Okay. So they do have Gregorius. He did fall off last year. But
He did.
I just don't think they can compete with the Braves.
They can't. And their pitching is Wheeler and Nola, and then Kyle Gibson,
Right.
who's you're not getting anything out of. Their bullpen, Familia. They did sign Brad Hand.
Yeah.
They have Jose Alvarado, and then Nick Nelson from the Yankees.
Oh, Nick Nelson.
Remember?
Fan favorite.
Fan favorite, and also forgotten by some fans.
The forgotten one.
The forgotten one.
Nick Nelson.
The pitching is definitely going to lack. I don't think they are anywhere close to competing with the Mets Braves.
That's what's interesting about the Nationals and Phillies is they both have a player on their team. Soto, Harper.
Yep.
Two of the best players in the league. And nothing around them.
Yeah. And I'm glad that the Phillies did sign Schwarber because that's a huge bat for them. Also, took away from the Red Sox, and the Blue Jays were linked to him.
DH.
And he's a DH.
Yeah.
Universal DH really coming in clutch now for the Nationals and the Phillies here, as we've seen with these two deals. I like that they signed Schwarber. I just think they're going to waste it because they aren't going to win. But again, I'm glad they're spending money because that's the whole point.
Right.
Get people engaged.
It is, but we do need to see more of these signings, the teams that are going to lose. I'd love to see less of the Cincinnati Reds trade every single one of their good players
Right.
away. Or, Oakland Athletics have made 7 trades now to just get rid of everybody on their roster that's major league ready.
Yep.
So I am glad to see teams, those middling teams, making signings.
Yeah.
Even the Cubs,
Yeah.
to move on. The Cubs have signed Andrelton Simmons.
They have, which again, big sigh of relief for the Yankees at first.
There's a defensive stud right there. The Cubs have now signed Seiya Suzuki,
Yeah.
who's an outfielder, right?
Yeah.
5 years, $85 million, second largest contract from any Japanese player, the highest contract for a position player from Japan. I don't know much about him. I do not watch Japanese baseball, but if everything that they say about him is true, then the Cubs got themselves a really good player.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of hope for Seiya Suzuki here. The Mets were linked to him for a bit. There were a couple of teams that he was really heavily pursued by. And I really do think, I hope that's going to work out for them. I love when international talent comes over and it's like they go off and it kind of shows, representing. This is a huge contract for a Japanese position player. Like you said, highest contract for a position player, second in all of Japanese baseball players to come over to only Masahiro Tanaka with $155 million from the Yankees. So I like this, but also it's like, where are the Cubs going to be? This is definitely a move for the future and like maybe latter 3 years of the deal. But next year and this year.
Really question, and they were talking about, before he signed back with the Yankees, they were talking about getting Rizzo back.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
it's
get Rizzo
weird.
back. Are you trying to win now? Because you're in a division where you could possibly win now, but you kind of full send.
Yeah.
You can't just sign Andrelton Simmons and think you're going to win now.
And we've thrown Rizzo out a lot. Like we've mentioned his name at the beginning, and I'll bring it up again here. His official deal was 2 years, $32 million with the Yankees. And that came late last night, March 15th. I'm trying to think. I mean, I think we should go to the pitching market a little bit because that did heat up a couple days ago. I don't know where you want to start.
Yeah, I mean, Kershaw resigned.
Not really surprising.
No.
I don't think.
I wasn't expecting him to hit the market. Even when we were talking about, I think in the last podcast, we were talking about who pitchers that the Yankees could go after, and I forgot Kershaw was a free agent.
Yeah.
I just never really expected him to be one. And it looks like the Giants have now made up for Kevin Gausman.
Did they, though?
With Rodon. I mean, listen, Gausman's old. Isn't he 31?
31,
That's,
okay.
That's pretty old. So,
It is, but Rodon is also injury prone. So you get Rodon 2 years, $44 million with an opt-out after the 2022 season. So he's getting 22 a season. And then Gausman, who is older, but he played the entire season in 2021.
I mean, for somebody who's 31, Gausman has not had a season like he had last year.
That is correct.
Before that. So whenever I look at pitchers, and again, I'm no MLB scout or anything like that, but when I look at pitchers and they have a year like Gausman had,
Yep.
you have to start thinking about what's most likely to occur. Do I expect him to have another excellent year like that, or do I expect him to fall back to what he's done for years prior, right? Same with Ryu, right? The Blue Jays signed Ryu, and guess what? He didn't pitch to their standards. Same thing with, well, we don't know yet, Robbie Ray. I think the same thing's going to happen with Robbie Ray. I don't think he's going to have a Cy Young year this year. I think he's going to fall back to what Robbie Ray really is. There's very few pitchers that consistently pitch at Cy Young levels. That's Justin Verlander, that's Garrett Cole, that's Clayton Kershaw, right?
Scherzer, DeGrom.
Scherzer for sure,
Yep.
DeGrom for sure. Even maybe Walker Buehler, I don't know. But
Walker Buehler, Cy Young, you heard it here first.
it's very rare that that occurs. I mean, I
Yeah.
was even expecting the same thing to happen with Trevor Bauer. I was
Yeah.
expecting him to fall off after he signed for $40 million a year. He didn't
And
get a chance to fall off, right?
And he's
fell
also
off worse than anybody we've ever seen.
He's back on administrative leave.
That's right, and I don't expect him to leave it, right? Because it's a bad look, even if there
Yeah.
wasn't any, criminal charges. Still a bad look for an organization, bad look for a Major League Baseball.
Yeah. So I mean, the Giants get Rodon. The rotation at the moment, as things currently stand, Logan Webb is their ace. Carlos Rodon will follow him up. Then Anthony Desclafani, Alex Wood, Alex Cobbs. You got Alex squared there, 4 and 5. They're gonna be decent. I don't know if it's anything like to go crazy over. Their bullpen isn't amazing. I don't know what this Giants team is going to be able to pull off this year. I think there's some interesting names in the lineup. They are kind of an old team, Mr. Cere. Listella's 33, Brandon Belt's almost 34, Crawford 35, Longoria 36, Yastrzemski almost 32.
Yastrzemski's 32.
Darren Ruff, their DH, is 35. And Joey Bart's making like his first big season because Postie's gone. But like, I don't think this team is going to have the same effect that it did last year.
Last year surprised me 100%. I was not expecting them to be as good as they were, considering they were as old as they were.
Yeah.
Right? The key pieces to your team offensively are all in their mid-30s. Brandon Crawford had a career year.
Yep.
After how many years of being a below-average shortstop?
Exactly.
Offensive shortstop. Brandon Belt, after how many years of being an average to below-average first baseman? Evan Longoria, who was great when he was younger, but has recently fell off. They all had phenomenal years, and it's like, it's not often in sports that everything goes right at the same time. But for the Giants last year, everything went right for the same time. Even Gausman.
Exactly.
And all of a sudden he had a career year. When everybody has a career year at the same time, yeah, you're going to win, they win 101 games?
They won a lot. Yeah.
It's like, I would be not surprised if the Giants do not make the playoffs this year.
Even with the expansion,
Even with the
yeah.
expansion. I would say playoff teams right now in the NL, you could expect the Padres and the Dodgers from that division, the Cardinals, the Braves and Mets, then that sixth team is gonna be between the Giants, the Nationals, the Brewers.
I don't even think the Nationals are gonna. I don't think the
I mean,
Nationals
not
are
the
gonna be
Nationals,
better.
the Phillies.
Okay.
Sorry. The Phillies, the Brewers, then the Giants. I mean,
Yeah.
but I would not be surprised at all if the Giants are not back in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Find me in September, late September. I told you here first, folks. Blue Jays are going to win 115 games, and the Giants are not making the playoffs. You can mark both of those things down, and you'll thank me.
There you go. Put your bets in now. DraftKings not sponsored. Yeah, DraftKings, wherever you go to do your sports betting, Blue Jays 115 wins. You could book it.
Book it.
I do want to just, we have a couple more minutes here. Talk about some rumors that have been on Twitter. The first one that really, really intrigues me: Chris Bryant and the Rockies.
Right. Okay.
Why are the Rockies in on Chris Bryant?
Again, it's good. It's a good thing. We need these teams that have been hot garbage to attract, to go after these people. I mean, for a minute there, I forgot Chris Bryant was even a free agent
Yeah.
because I had accepted the fact that he was going to go to the Rockies and therefore not play in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, exactly. But
But-
why would you sign Bryant instead of bringing back Trevor Story, who has been with you his entire career, other than financials? I get the financials, but if you're going to try to have a player to build your team around, wouldn't you want it to be the younger, better, homegrown Trevor Story?
It's very questionable. Maybe something changed once the lockout happened, or they decided maybe it is a bad look if we keep destroying our farm system, if we keep trading away every good player we ever have, Arenado, John Gray.
They could have had a dynasty left side of the infield. They could have had Arenado and Story and then been building around them. And they get rid of Arenado and they give Cardinals money to take Arenado. It's like, what are we doing? And then you're out on Story. You lost John Gray. You're losing a lot of the only significant pieces that they had, which was very few. They've lost all of them.
Yeah. Again, hopefully what we're seeing with these teams, these middling to bad teams that are signing people, perhaps we're seeing a change. Because, I'm sitting here watching NFL free agency at the same time as MLB free agency. And, it doesn't matter what your team is. The Jacksonville Jaguars, 2 years out of first overall pick, third pick this year, they just spent $190-something million in free agency.
Yeah.
One of the worst teams in the league. You don't see that in MLB. That's the problem with Major League Baseball. It's too much parity. It's too much over and over again. You see the same teams compete. I mean, how many years in a row do we need to see the Red Sox, the Yankees, the Dodgers, and the Cardinals in the playoffs every year, and the Astros? Right? It's almost been 15 years we've seen the same teams.
Yeah. You mean to tell me Bryant's going to sign with a team that consists of Raimel Tapia, Brandon Rogers, Charlie Blackmon, C.J. Cron, Ryan McMahon, Connor Joe, Sam Hilliard, Elias Diaz, and Jose Iglesias?
Brandon Rogers is a good young second baseman.
They've got some decent names in there, like Rogers, and Blackmon was bad last year, but Blackmon used to be good.
Like 37.
Crone, I guess, McMahon, I guess, and the pitching is horrendous. There's no bench. The pitching is bad. Kudos to Chris Bryant if he's going to go out there and play for a bit. I hope he has a great contract, and I hope he gets paid because the Rockies finally need to start paying someone. We're running out of time, and I think the last guy we have to talk about, it's almost inevitable that Carlos Correa is going back to the Astros, right?
Yeah, I don't see where else he fits in. Everybody else has moved on, I think.
I think the market for Freeman and Castro and Story, it's shriveled up real quick.
To the Red Sox.
I cannot see the Red Sox signing Story. I don't think they need him.
They don't, but everything I've heard is they've been disappointed with Bogarts as a defensive shortstop.
Yeah. Other thing is, does he maybe go to the Twins? Do the Twins sign Trevor Story? I don't know. It's hard because they got Gray and then they shipped everyone off and then they got Urshela and Sanchez. I don't know where their head is at right now, if they're going to try to be competitive or not this year, but like they have to sign somewhere because you're not going to miss a year of Trevor Story. He's going to find a team eventually, but he turned down, I think, a $100 million deal for 3 years. Correa just got another offer from the Astros. He's turned down deals. The Astros offered him something, which was ridiculous, but they offered him a contract before the lockout, and he rejected it then. The market is shrinking for these guys, and they're going to have to make a move fast. And I think just Correa to the Astros makes sense. And then Story, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm at this point, I'm going to be surprised no matter where Story goes.
Unfortunately, probably not going to be the Yankees. But if it is the Yankees, IKF, that's my starting catcher.
I don't see the Yankees signing a shortstop at this point.
Yeah, I don't think they're in on any of the big free agents anymore.
They could still sign free.
I would love that. I think that's it.
John Hyman said they're still in on free.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Now there is
John Heyman's also said for the past 2 weeks, oh, it's between the Dodgers and Yankees. Oh, it looks like it's going to be the Dodgers and Yankees. Hey, other teams are interested, but guess what? The Dodgers and Yankees want Freddie Freeman. Like, he's doing reporting that you and I could do from school right now.
Right.
It's like we could guess the teams that are interested in Freeman, and that would be his tweet.
We're throwing in maybe Freeman's camp is throwing in that the Blue Jays and Red Sox and Rays are interested in him to try and drive the Yankees' price up.
Right, because why would the Rays want Freddie Freeman? That does not fit their storyline at all.
But I don't know. We'll see. Should be a good season. Should be a great end to the rest of free agency. And hopefully, you make some money off of the fact that the Blue Jays will win 115 games.
Yeah.
And the Giants will miss the playoffs.
Yeah, spring training games start in 48 hours. A lot of free agents left to be signed, and that's going to be that. Thank you, Mr. Cere.